This is the second part of a tutorial in which we are placing Justin Bieber's head onto a person riding the Smiler, a ride at Alton Towers. So we've been using photomontaging techniques to do this. We have by now completed our Justin Bieber head adjustments, although we might still have to do the hair colour. Maybe do that once we've put it onto the Smiler. So I'm going to switch back to today's lesson, and I'm going to come back here and load up smilerharness.png. So this image here is someone riding the Smiler. I'm going to take that image and copy that. I'm going to come back to Photoshop, and I'm going to go to File, New. Should come up at the right height and width. Click on OK, and then Edit, Paste. So we have then our image ready to put the head onto. Notice the pink smoke into the nostrils and mouth of the person riding the Smiler. So I'm going to come to my Bieber Smiler image here. And one of the first things is you see it's made up of several different layers. So I'm going to go to the drop down here and choose Flatten Image. And what that does is it turns it into a single layer. I have the Move tool selected here. So what I should be able to do is pick this up, move up to the bar up here, and as I move over the Smiler image, it will switch to that. I can move down and then drop onto it. And you'll see that actually the size is not quite right at the moment, so I am going to have to expand that a little bit. So I'm going to come up here to the ribbon that says Show Transform Controls, click on that, and then I should be able to stretch. Now be careful, you can obviously make things too thin or wide. So I'm going to undo that. You should use the Shift key when you grab the corner. So hold down Shift, grab the corner, stretch it up a bit, and we need to move it up to roughly where the neck and chin would be. So round about here is looking good. And some of his hair is obviously going to disappear off the top there. When you've got the size and position about right, click on the tick, and we're then ready to start making adjustments. So, first thing we're going to do is to try and select all the background and remove that. But one of the things we want to make sure is that we don't leave a very hard edge on things. So I'm going to come to the Magic Wand tool, click into this grey area here. My tolerance is quite low at 10. I'm going to take that up to about maybe 25. And then when I click, I should pick up much bigger areas. I can hold the Shift key down and add to that. And that has made a decent job of picking up the background. I'm going to lose some of these little strands here. I'm not too worried about that. However, what I do want to do is, I don't want to press Delete key now because that will take off far too much and leave a very hard edge. So I'm going to go to Select, Modify, and Feather. And my instructions said 5 pixels. I'm just going to try maybe 3 pixels here. Click on OK, and then when I press the Delete key, I should be leaving a little bit of a soft edge around, and so it won't be so obvious that it's been stitched in here. And I'm just going to deselect that now. Okay, you can see a line at the edge where some of the corner, the sides of the image have been left in there, so we definitely need to delete them. But the way we're going to do this is to apply a layer mask. So down at the bottom of the layers palette, we've got this little grey with a white circle, and that's a layer mask. And if I click on there, what we can now do is use black and white and various different shades of grey for how much to remove. So I'm going to choose the paintbrush tool here, just below the little plaster healing tool. And you'll see that if I paint onto his shoulder with black, and up the side here with black, then those bits completely disappear. Black here, completely disappear. And you can see where on the mask those black bits have occurred. If I swap this to white and then paint here, you see it brings it back in. So it's a non-destructive edit because we're using a layer mask. And you can just switch backwards between black and white to remove the bits that you don't want. So that's looking good so far. What we do want to do is to zoom in here and then remove all of the area under his chin. So we need to do this quite carefully, so you're going to zoom in quite close, then pick up the brush tool, and you can take big areas out with the black tool there quite easily. But what I would suggest that you do is move into a much smaller brush, maybe something like 10 pixels, and then take it just under the shadow of his chin. And then obviously we can remove any other parts here, and then just under the shadow of his chin, and then remove anything that's outside that. There's a little bit of chin there that I haven't taken out. And that's probably good enough. So magnifying tool, fit screen, there we go. And you can see actually I haven't covered up his ear here. So I'm going to use the move tool. So I pick up the whole thing and just move his head down a little bit more to then fix that positioning. Okay, so the other thing that I want to do here is to have a look at his hair color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pick up just his hair. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool here. So magic wand quick selection, I'm going to choose quick selection. And I'm going to try and pick up just his hair. I need to be careful, I need to do it on the appropriate part here. And I've got the minus tool chosen. So plus tool here, start to drag his hair. And you can see it's picking up some empty areas here as well. So I'm going to have to adjust and fix for that. So I'm going to click into the minus. I'm going to take out all of these empty areas. Just drag along there like so. Okay, that's getting close to where his hair is. Just going to take out all of his skin. And now I have to put back in areas of the hair as well. So I'm going to switch to the lasso tool here. And I'm going to use the shift key to add in. So this bit of hair down here is sideburns added in. On this side of his head, his sideburns added in. And then I'm just going to try and take out this excess that's around his head. So the Alt key, I'm going to try and bring in close to his actual hair. And then on this side, it's a little bit messy, the hair on this side, but I should be able to get a little bit closer, like that, and then just that little extra bit there. Okay, so that's a reasonable approximation for his hair. Now the thing about hair is, it doesn't have a hard edge, very soft edge, so I definitely want to go to Select, Modify, Feather, and this time I'm going to use about 5 pixels. Click OK. so that it softens up that edge quite a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply an adjustment to that. So I'm going to change his hair, and I think it looks like the Joker with this smile, so I'm going to give him green hair. So I go to Adjustments. I'm going to use a hue saturation adjustment here. And what I should be able to do is, if I take it to green, actually you'll see that his hair becomes quite bluey purple. The way this works is it takes the opposite hue. So if I take this down to purple, I give him green hair. If I ramp up the saturation, it becomes very green. I probably don't want to do as much as that, maybe just about there. And maybe a little bit of lightness as well. Well, what I can do, I mean that looks a little bit messy, so what I'm going to do, instead of applying that at its full size, if I colorize that, actually it might be a bit better. But what I'm going to do is, instead of the full effect, I'm going to come to the opacity here, and I'm going to take it down so that it actually blends over what's already there. Somewhere about there is going to do. Okay, so we've put our smiler in. We have used our layer mask to remove everything under his chin. And what we're now going to do is put some pink smoke coming out of his nostrils and his mouth. So I'm coming back here, and I'm going to add another layer. So come down to the layer section, click on the little page turn icon to give me layer 3. I'm going to pick up a very pink from here, like so. And I'm then going to go to the brush tool. Now the brush tool has a whole bunch of different brushes available, and what I'm looking for is something probably right at the bottom here, maybe something like 100 pixels of spray brush. Maybe not, maybe 66 pixels. Okay, something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a spread from his nostril, and then a few radiating lines coming from his mouth. Now that doesn't look massively convincing, so what I'm going to do with this layer is I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, and apply a Gaussian blur. A Gaussian blur gives a nice soft feel to everything there, so you can see that when I click on it we can see the individual dots. If I ramp up the radius here, then it's going to make that much more diffuse. Probably needs a bit more, somewhere about there. And I think we're just about done then. So we've added our pink smoke, we've blurred the smoke, and I think that's us good to go. So the last thing you would probably want to do, you're going to save this, so File, Save As, and I'm going to call mine Bieber Smiler, and I'm saving this as a Photoshop image so that I get the full, all the layers and effects and so on. But I can also go to File and Save for Web and Devices. And what that lets me do is to choose and have a look at it as something that could go onto the web. So something like a JPEG or a GIF or a PNG. So PNG24 would be an ideal image for the web. Click on Save. Bieber Smiler PNG. And save that. So we've montaged an original image, we've put someone else's head on it, we've added some effects, and that is our smiler.